Hey there, class. So sorry I wasn't able to meet with you this week to complete our assignment. So just doing this quick video to finish this up so you can hand it in. We had already figured out a few of the square foot numbers on here. So I started filling them in before I jumped on this video. So you can see I have my first floor office space is 176. The concentrated business use, I have 398 square feet. Second floor classroom, so we got to get upstairs and do the two offices. Down below, we also figured out that we have 7,500 square foot max or lower to have no sprinkler systems in our building. So let's finish up the conversation about figuring out our occupancy load. So there's three steps in figuring out our occupancy load, right? And one of them is, figuring out what the building is going to be used for. And typically that's from your client. And so you want to select an occupancy load factor by figuring out what the use is. And then we want to determine the size of the room. So we did all that. We did all of our calculations for the size of the room. And then we're going to apply the occupancy load factor to the spaces that we're talking about here that I have broken out for you. Now, when we figure out what the occupancy loads are based on our occupancy load table, those are going to be minimum sizes. So in this one right here on the top one, I started talking about a tap room or a brewery. We really want to go to a tap room because a brewery would actually be low hazard if we were to actually do that on site. And the space really isn't big enough for that. So maybe we would have it shipped in, right? We would have it trucked in, and this would be an area for parties or what have you. So it's more of a concentrated area without fixed seating. Now, when I look at that 7 net, we're gonna talk about this when I jump over to the code. But anyways, if I do that calculation, I get 266 people for the space that is 1,868 square feet. It seems like a lot of people for that space. So I might want to change my occupancy use. So the occupancy use factor, excuse me. So if I jump over to the occupancy load that I had copied from our fire code, you can see that the concentrated use without fixed seating is 7 net. But right below it, it says less concentrated use without fixed seating. And it's an assembly use because it's a tap room. We're going to be having a liquor license there. There will be some seating there, and we'll have some employees and such and people coming in. So the less concentrated use makes more sense to me because of the space. Now, when we see that word net, right, because we know this is square foot per person. When we just see, the kitchens, it's 100 square foot per person. And that would give us our minimum occupancy load for that space in the kitchen. But this says net. So when we go down to the bottom, and we did have a student ask this question, I didn't answer it properly. And so I followed up with a note on our assignment, but wanted to verbally tell you guys as well too. It is a square foot, but it's the gross square foot minus any staircases, hallways, and toilet rooms. Okay, so when you see the word net, you go down here to where it says A, B, C, D, and there is something, all factors are expressed in gross area unless marked net. And then when you look it up a little bit further, this is the definition of it. It's really just the square foot or the gross square foot minus all of these different areas, which gives you the gross square foot. So, looking at the plan, we didn't include the staircase within our square foot of this open space right here. Okay, so that's why you're seeing the net. Now, when I go back over to my occupancy load, just go up here, and under the assembly, less concentrated, I have 15 net. So let's see what that does to our occupancy load for this space. It might make more sense. Times 15. Oops, not times, divided by, 1868 divided by 15 equals 124.5. I like that one better. So if we did the 15 net, then our minimum occupancy load is going to be 124 people for this space. Okay, so that's great. So we're going to use the 15 net. I'm going to put a line through that. And this seems appropriate, doesn't it? 124 people minimum in that space. So it's for small parties and such. So let's do the concentrated business use. Let me go to my sheet here. Concentrated business use. So we're talking about 50 people per square foot. So that is the times, or divided by, excuse me, I should be putting, divided by 50, so that's 398 divided by 50, so you got 7.9, so you're talking about 7 people in that space. Office, we can, if that one is the office, it's 176. Offices are a little bit different. They're a little more confusing to be able to figure out the use and the space. I jumped over to the actual code here, the fire code. So I'm in chapter 7, and I'm looking at the table that I have on the sheet for you, table 7.3.1.0, occupancy load factors. Just to make note, it's really important to be able to read code. We don't need to know where every single code is. We need to know where to find these different pieces of code, but it's really critical to look at the different tables that they're associating, how to figure out these occupancy load factors. I still learn things when I'm working with architects or engineers and trying to figure out these occupancy loads. So be mindful of, just reading the beginning paragraphs and looking at the reference tables that they're referring to. Also, at the bottom of it, just as I referred to that net, you always have footnotes, okay? And so the footnotes are really important to take a look at as well. Okay, so for the offices, so the offices that occupancy load that I think that we should be using are in the business use, okay? And I would like to use the collaboration rooms or spaces for less than 450 square foot. All right, so I'm going to use that 30 square foot per person to figure out the occupancy loads for the offices. So 176 divided by the 30, not times, why do I keep putting times, divided by 30 is going to equal 5.8. So we're talking about 5 people in that space there. All right, so we've done A, B, and C. So let's check out our floor plans for the second floor and figure out the last 2 offices. All right, so for the offices, the front office I already have labeled out for you, 200 square feet. And then the bathrooms, I'm not going to worry about those right this second. And then the back area is 143 square feet. So going over to our assignment page, I'm going to put 143 for office 1, and I'm going to divide by that 30 again. All right, so that's 143 divided by 30 equals 4.7. So we're talking about 4 people in there. And the 200 square foot divided by 30. So, 200 divided by 30 equals 6.6. So 6 people. And again, these are all minimum. And then if we add those up, right? So 6 plus 4. Oh, I didn't do the classroom area. Darn it. Okay, let me get the classroom. Classroom is going to be 20 net. So we don't have anything in that classroom as we can see. So we're going to divide by 20 net, and we're going to get the 945 divided by 20 equals 47.25, 47. All right, people in there. So let's add those up now. 47 plus 4 plus 6 plus 7 plus 124 plus, that's it. So we have 188 for our total occupancy load, 188 people, and that's that's our max. I know I kept saying minimum. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say minimum. I meant to say max. My brain has not been working well this week. I apologize. All right, one last question. What would the total occupancy load be if this was a storage building with absolutely nothing in it other than non-hazardous materials? Okay, so what I'm talking about is the square foot, if none of these offices are in here and this building, first floor and second floor, is just used for storage. If we go over to the occupancy load and we look at the storage use, it says in storage occupancies. So again, this is just going to have car parts that are non-hazardous material, maybe some storage upstairs on the second floor. And it says MP on here, right? MP. So what does MP mean? Well, we look down here at our footnotes and we could see that MP means the occupancy load is the maximum probable number of occupants present at any time. So for something like this, clients' needs and wants are going to be addressed. You have to understand what they're going to be using it for. And so if this literally is just going to be for bringing parts in, bringing parts out to go into a different facility to, install on the cars, then I'm going to guess any one time the maximum probable number of people in there is probably going to be 10, to be very honest with you. I know it's a bigger building. It's 5,000 square feet something. And, but it literally, talking with the clients, 10 is going to be the maximum probable number of occupancies. So again, I figured that out by, asking a lot of questions with the clients. What's it going to be used for? How are the parts going to be stored that are in here? Who's going up onto the second floor? Oh, it's just files. Okay, so you have a couple individuals going up there with files, one person going to, check on files or something from the office. It's really minimal occupancy use. It's more for storage. So that's how I was able to come up with number 4. I am going to say 10, people will be allowed in this building. All right, so we are also, next video is going to be in regards to some of the other firewalls and the passage door and such, okay? And we'll get to this, and then week 6 we'll finish this one up on the next video as well. Thank you.